So now that is being recorded. Okay, let me just cough a moment and then I always feel like I need to cough. Doesn't help hay fever this time of year, so I sound more nasally than my accent already makes me sound. Right. And welcome back to another episode of the Branching Out podcast. Today we are joined by Robyn Coyne. She's our Environment and Sustainability Manager here at Ground Control. Really excited to be speaking with you today. Welcome, Robyn. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So Environment and Sustainability Manager, we can make some assumptions if we've worked at Ground Control long enough what that might entail, but could you just give us a bit of an introduction about what it is that you do? Tell us a little about yourself, and what you, if you work in a team as well, what you guys do here at Ground Control.
Sure. So, I work in the business development team. All things business development.
Yep.
Sorry, can I start that again?
No, it's all right.
So my role sits within business development. Essentially, I look after all things environment. So that's looking at environmental compliance, managing environmental risks, but also ensuring that we stay on track, meet our ESG and sustainability goals, particularly with a focus on our net zero commitments.
Yeah, that is a part of our plan, as always, to make sure that we're trying to hit that net zero. I guess you've been with us for a little bit now. I know you started earlier this year, isn't it?
Yes, I started in January, so just 6 months now.
6 months now. So have you had any insight so far in your experience working with ground control in this role? Obviously, you would come with this background, but as far as being at ground control, what have you experienced so far?
Yeah, it's been really refreshing being at Ground Control as a company that shares the same values as I do in terms of looking after the environment. It's been really clear that Ground Control are passionate about the environment and making a difference. And it's been evident in what I've seen in the past 6 months in terms of all the good work that's been put in with the likes of Davana and Wildfell, but also looking at all the actions that have been implemented to commit to reaching net zero through EV charging and things like that. It's really set the foundations there for me to build upon, and there's some good plans and good things planned ahead.
So in your role as obviously trying to manage this and make sure that we're hitting our goals, I guess, how do you, I mean, we've talked about it a bit in like at events and things, but could you give us kind of like a wiki notes version of how do you kind of determine that we are on the path to meeting our goal?
So we have recently just gone through quite a detailed process of reviewing and verifying our carbon data for the last financial year. We've been working quite closely with a third-party verifier. So we just had the report come back from them. Who have basically been working with them, gone through all the data with a fine-tooth comb, and they've sort of third-party verified that, and we can now confidently say that there has been a year-on-year reduction, and we are definitely on track to reaching net zero by 2038, providing that we keep up the good work that we've been doing and implement our net zero journey and our targets and actions. We are well on track, so that's brilliant news.
Yeah, no, congratulations. That's exciting. How does that then, obviously you're in business development, how does that reach over to our clients then? Because they will equally be concerned and trying to meet, hopefully, you would hope, similar goals in their net zero journey.
Yeah, so we've implemented a lot of measures, and a lot of the stuff that we are doing will have a direct impact on our clients or our customers. So, for example, we're currently at 98% fully electric fleet, and we're doing lots of good work with our supply chain because we recognise that scope three, not just for us, but on the wider context, is the biggest scope of emissions for all of our businesses. And that scope three falls throughout the value chain. So we're doing some really good work with our field teams and also our suppliers, having a lot of supplier engagement, and setting the foundations, particularly for our field teams, where we can get more granular data, assist them with their carbon reduction plans so that we can have more robust data to ultimately see where those hotspots are and reduce those emissions further. Which one of the big pieces of work that was done with our IT department for the last year was setting up a client reporting dashboard. And what that does is that focuses on our field team data. So a lot of the apps and things that our field teams are using plug in the data that we use to calculate their carbon footprint. And I think that's a real big achievement that we've got there.
Yeah, no, that's really streamlining it as well. Like in a business that we probably all agree that sometimes we struggle a little bit trying to follow what everyone is doing to be able to have that data centralized and be able to report on it efficiently to the point where a third party can verify it as well is a big step. So well done to you and the IT team for managing to achieve that goal. Uh, Obviously, being told that we're on track and that's a really great, moment. Have you had any other memorable moments or challenges that you faced in your first 6 months here at Ground Control?
Yeah, so one of the things that we did earlier in the year was the field team road shows. So that was traveling up the country and doing presentation for within all the divisions for ground control. Which was for me something that would put me definitely out of my comfort zone, presenting to all of our field teams. But it was really enjoyable, and there's some great feedbacks and great interaction, and it was a really great opportunity for me to meet the field team, but also meet members of the team within the wider business. So yeah, that was good. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, for anyone that's not ever been on a field like the road show, I don't know what is it, tour, I guess maybe we'll call it the tour, the yearly tour, the homage around the country to see teams. It is definitely an experience, and I think anyone, especially new, who maybe doesn't always get to work with teams on a daily basis, it is good to have that face-to-face interaction and for them to give kind of have a chance to have their voice heard and give that feedback is very important. Uh, so there's a lot of I mean news, a lot of information out there floating around about the environment, sustainability, carbon neutrality, you name it. Do you feel that there are any, like, what would be, there's going to be misconceptions and things out there. Is there any in particular that you think would be good to debunk or a stereotype that you'd like to debunk today?
Something that I'd like to debunk in that sense, I guess, probably something that I would like to debunk, or stereotypes about my particular job role as such. I think my job role is often perhaps confused with working with animals, the ecologist, the
Yep.
biodiversity. But actually, what my job role entails is looking at those key pieces of legislation, making sure that the company stays on track, meeting those legislative requirements, and that we are essentially doing the right thing as a business, and also how we can enhance and identify those opportunities from an environmental perspective to enhance our performance and make sure that we are working in an ethical, sustainable, legal manner.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point because people would probably look at your role and maybe put you with either the ecology team or even health and safety team, really. So I think that's good to know that we have somebody dedicated to looking at the big picture. how we're going to get from point A to point B, and then also managing the kind of the day to day to make sure that actually happens. So thank you very much for that. Before I kind of move on to like your personal development and how you've kind of gone through to get where you are, is there any upcoming projects at Ground Control that you are really excited about? Anything that's coming up in the next 6 months to probably in the financial year that would be good to share?
Yes. So, I guess following, as I mentioned earlier, following having our carbon assessment and really doing that deep delve into that data, what I'm quite excited about is that we've identified a lot of opportunities for how we can improve by looking at them. I know sometimes data gets lost, and people think, why are we what's happening with all this data, why are we doing that? But it's really useful because we've taken that data and we've identified those hotspots, and we've identified a lot of opportunities to reduce. So I'm excited that for next year what our achievements will be when it comes to renewing the report. Um, there's also some really good projects coming up, which I'm excited to get stuck into from an environmental perspective, and working with our teams on a project level as well.
Yeah, it's very much being able, I mean, data tells you things, but being able to share that story so that people understand what we have achieved and really where the pain spots are that we could do more in and how they could help contribute to that would be a good read, a good exciting thing to see. So I'm gonna kind of focus back onto you as the individual. Could you share ways in which you focus on your own personal development and learning in your role?
Yeah, so I find that there's lots of useful resources out there that come through from different accreditations and things like that. And I like to attend the webinars and do some online CPD training. But also the way that I learn personally is throwing myself into new challenges, and just putting it all in, getting stuck in, and getting on with it. I just find that for me, that really helped me develop, broaden my knowledge and my experience, and having those lessons learned and future projects is really beneficial for the way that I learn. I've also, since joining, been attending the GC management course, which has been really useful. It's just been been useful to look at different techniques and things like that, which are essential for role as a manager.
Yeah, definitely. The GC manage it is good for not obviously people that manage people, but also people that are managing large scale projects like you are. So that's a great shout. And yeah, I mean, keeping your ear to the ground and knowing what's going on in the industry is also kind of essential in a way to making sure that we are staying up to snuff when it comes to sustainability. Uh, how has GC manage or even like obviously keeping yourself up to date, how has that helped you in your role at Ground Control?
So there has been lots of key legislation changes, for example, this year, particularly with regard to waste management, and things like that. So, attending these webinars, working groups, they've been very beneficial to understanding the requirements of the changes and making sure that we can cascade that down through our processes at Ground Control.
Um, if someone was maybe looking at your role and thinking, oh, I am interested in learning more, do you have any tips or advice that could help someone looking to develop their knowledge and skills around managing sustainability for a business?
Yeah, so I would say that the IEMA course is the route that I went down, and there's different stages of IEMA that you can go through. So and the entry level IEMA course is a really good course to take for like an entry level into sustainability, and it doesn't relate to specific industries as such. It's more how you apply sustainability in the wider context, and gives a broad overview. So that entrance to gaining that knowledge, it is really beneficial. But then just taking tasks on step by step, looking at different chunks of sustainability, different roles, and applying it into every day into your work, going out and visiting sites, and going through, putting what you've learned in the IEMA into practice, essentially. But there's lots of good resources, free resources out there on the likes of sustainability, supply chain sustainability schools. So there is lots and tons of resource out there available, but just taking it in small chunks, because it can be a bit overwhelming because it's such a broad spectrum sustainability. So breaking it down into bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, because that can then also help people that are, especially if whether they're working on large scale projects, they could then look at, taking some of that information in and applying it at their level, which ultimately helps the business as a whole, not only on their project, but the business as a whole, to achieve our goals. So thank you for that. I'm very conscious of time, and kind of to keep with what we were just actually talking about, I just want to end on kind of one parting of knowledge question for the listeners. What do you think are the most important trends or developments in your field that our listeners should be aware of?
I think that it's really important to recognize that sustainability impacts everyone. And it's not just at what you do at work, it's from a personal level. If you take sustainability, it's about not using more than is required. So if you think about potable water, materials, fuel, there's not an endless supply of these materials and resources available. And with the growing population, the amount of resources that we have will not be sustainable for the growing population. So I would just encourage everybody to take a look back and think about what they're doing in their personal life, in the workplace, and think about how can they be more sustainable by using less, recycling. It might seem like a small step, but if everybody takes something small, then it will make a real difference, because achieving sustainability and sustainability goals and being sustainable as a business in the wider environment is not down to one single person. It is a sort of united front there.
Yeah. So if we all take even a small step towards sustainability, it is, if we all do it, a large step, really.
Exactly.
It ends up perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. It's been really interesting. And yes, I'd look to catch up with you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that's it for us today. If you or your team have an exciting project going on and want to share, please reach out and we'll get you on the podcast. Until next time, take care.